Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome back. This is Conversations with Doctor and a Junkie. My name is Benjamin. I'm the doctor.
My name is Joel. I'm the junkie.
And like we said earlier, we're not really identifying with those titles right now. This is more just the...
Just the humor in it.
It's funny.
Yeah.
So where we had left off last time, this is episode 2. We left off after our respective high school experiences where I had just left to college and he had just started stepping into the game, the drug game.
Drug and alcohol game. I was already in the alcohol game. I was already in the drug game too, but just a little bit deeper.
Word. So just to recap that, I had made the decision to go to, or at least be pre-med, went to community college, not a lot of friends, feeling kind of crazy, a little awkward anyway, traumatized background, with family circumstance that probably led to a lot of the way we are, and then the complete lack of therapy or really any
yes,
kind
the
of...
lack thereof.
Yeah. Like I said, we grew up in that kind of environment where if you cried, you got spanked, and if you cried after you got spanked again.
Straight up.
So we didn't play none of that emotions and feels thing. I was like, yo, you better boss up.
Which is never good.
No, really just a lot of repression, and repression leads to depression, I would say.
Explosion.
Yeah, it was rough. So yeah, man. So just I guess we'll pick up back then. I think that's probably around age like 19, 20.
Yeah. Right.
What happened to you after you left high school? You go ahead.
Right after high school, moved in with two of my best friends from high school, which we were all bad influences on each other because pretty much all we cared about was, hey, we're going to get a house together, just this small town of Blanchard, you know what I mean, and go to Oklahoma City and party, all the time. And that's what we did.
Competitive partying.
Competitive party.
Yeah. Who can beer pong the fastest?
Yeah, we practiced that in the garage.
Who can make the most
throughout the
beer
week.
pong balls?
Yeah, it's when you look back on it, it's embarrassing, but it is what it is. That's what we're here for. I'm here to tell you these things so you can avoid these things, so you can learn from these things, and that's why we're here. You know what I mean?
Teach your children.
Yes. Mistakes, learn from them. Well, as soon as we moved in, the partying began, and that's when I changed a lot in my life. I had some serious. I was with a girl for a long time, and I'm not going to mention any names or anything like that. But I got her pregnant. So this is probably why. I mean, I don't usually talk about this, so I'm being open. Might as well. The only reason I'm doing this is so I can help people. And if I have a chance to help one person, I'm going to. So that's the only reason I'm being open and honest with anybody on this podcast. So. Well, when that happened, you know what I mean? Our plans were, going through our options. What are we going to do? Abortion. Well, no, obviously we weren't going to do that. And what we came to was adoption. You know what I mean? And at this time, I was not suited to be a father. I wasn't, I was young. I was 18, 19-ish. And I thought that I was, but in all reality, all I really cared about was myself. I was selfish, and I cared about drugs and alcohol more than I did taking care of my, unborn daughter and obviously my, my girlfriend at the time.
What was that phone call like?
Phone call was pretty good.
The first time you heard it, because this is every 19-year-old boy's like nightmare, by the way. I used to have panic attack. I think everyone had panic attacks.
Oh no, she came out of the bathroom crying with a dipstick. You know what I mean? And then I'm just like...
Tears of joy?
Oh, no.
Oh.
No. This is not planned. I'm not... At this point, like, we're just, she's in college. She's smart. She's valedictorian style. I'm like 1.9 GPA style. You feel me? And I don't know. We were just so opposite. I don't know if we even belonged together, but we were together for years and years. So, just... young and dumb, you know what I mean? And I thought that I was going to spend the rest of my life with her, but things don't always play out the way you want them to, or the way they're planned. So
everything has an intention in the long run, though. Like I said, ultimately it's leading to these conversations, like hopefully help some people. So it has a purpose somewhere, somehow. It's just we got to find it or create it. But big props for getting through that, though, man. That's like psychological trauma.
Oh, and that's when I stopped drinking and doing drugs for fun. That's when everybody told me that I was not the
Dark Joel.
the blissful, you know, I love to make people smile. That's what I do. You know what I mean? I like to make people laugh. And then I had turned into somebody that I never thought that I would turn into, and I was especially when I blacked out. When I blacked out, that's when I know, people would, come up with different names for me. They gave me an alter ego named Dark Joel. You know what I mean? They were like, this guy, it's crazy because he's completely different when he's like this. And
he goes from Jedi to Sith real fast.
Just a matter of hours.
Yeah. Dude. But I think whenever we're drinking to escape or doing something to escape anyway, we're setting ourselves up for a big time crash, and I think everybody's probably guilty of that too.
Everybody. For sure.
Most people just don't have that kind of stuff to try to get away from. You know what I'm saying? Like personally, like in my experiences, I didn't really drink actively because, during
you lifted a lot too.
Yeah, I was working. Yeah. Well, oh yeah.
Probably had a lot of it.
Yeah. So like my drug of abuse. Because running from his problems, right?
Dark rage, dude.
Running from
dark rage, dog.
Running from his problems. I ran from my problems literally, like in the gym, working out like crazy, dog. Same thing in the library, because my thing was like, if I'm so like involved in something and make it like so life or death, that I won't be able to think about my life or to give this feeling of anxiety or inner like disgust any power.
Taking 2 scoops, where you going? Been the gym? Nah, the library.
What? and low key, these are, we don't, what we call a drug is like, first of all, pre-workout, I'm taking like, back then it had like the, the cousins of essentially, amphetamine.
Pretty much methamphetamine.
Put in like 400 milligrams of caffeine, 500 milligrams of caffeine. I had no idea. When I was 18, I wasn't reading labels. But yeah, I'd take that and then, go zoom in for like 4 or 6 hours straight on the homework and then work out for 4 hours, So it's not to say that I was, free of it, just doing different things, but we had a similar underlying problem, which was we were both kind of running from this inner sense of like, and I think one thing I should highlight was during this time I was also kind of very deep in my faith with like Christianity, but not the cool kind.
Not like the cool kind.
Yeah, not like the God's love kind, more like the persecutey, judgmental, like gotta do everything right because there's a divine omnipotent being watching me, judging my every move kind of feeling, and like a lot of paranoia, which kind of fits. I think just kind of how I am in general. I got some paranoia going on.
Yeah.
We all though? It's that redneck blood, I just want to go live in the woods and don't want to like deal with any kind of government.
The laws ain't fair, dog.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, I think we both continue that kind of process. I think one thing I wanted to talk about was like the level of kind of abuse between brothers, because we grew up, we shared a room together, we shared and we were like living together for intermittently, but
we had bunk beds when we were like 22, 23,
and we never ever talked about this kind of thing. Like I never told him I loved him. I never asked him how I felt about his child, or I never even asked him why he drank. This is something we just kind of like, you figure yours out, I figure mine out. We didn't talk about that kind of thing. If anything, it was like worse, where we just kind of like talk crap to each other.
Yeah.
And I, one example of this is whenever he told me, that he was having a baby, and I was like, I was like kind of excited. I was like, cool, man, like
be an uncle.
Yeah, I was like, go be uncle, and I was like, what are you gonna do with it? He said he's giving it for an adoption, and I like looked at him and I called him a coward, and I was that shit hurt. It hurt real bad because at the time, I was like, man up, what I'm saying? What you do was country folk, what I'm saying? Country boys, marry her.
Yeah.
Marry her, get a trailer. And, years later, like it was like literally years later, I think it was in med school, I was like looking back and reflecting, and I was like, dude, good God. I was like, your brother was opening up to you. Like, this is the most conversation we had about that kind of thing. He was, looking to seek some guidance, most likely. And you just like totally like blasted him and made it worse.
I forgive you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, dude. That was on my heart for years.
It's all right. I had already engulfed myself with guilt and shame and self-pity. anything added that was an additive to that, like a drop in the ocean that I'd already filled myself with. You know what I mean? So I'd already known what was going on, and it changed a lot of who I was. But the good thing about change is you can change yourself more and more and more, and transform yourself more and more and more. So.
You know, we are a sum of our experiences. You know, and the more experiences they have, the more that you can do. And I would say that you've been through some profound highs and some profound lows.
All-time lows.
He's been low. He's been high too, man.
Been high too.
That's
Real
not,
high.
Just joking. Yeah, joking,
Yeah.
but not and not. But you know, you've had successes in your life too.
Yeah,
so
a lot.
Yeah, so it's not like it's just straight, getting beat up. I think he led 3A football passing yards and touchdowns and good looking guy and real funny and well liked. So like I said, there's positive things that I think that if those weren't there, and having a really good family, I think you probably would have gotten for the worst.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
More for the family and the friends surrounding me, and that's a lot. What I was going to talk about is the first part of recovering yourself is surrounding yourself with people that that love you and want the best for you. And it's hard to weed them out. You got to sift them out. You know what I mean? And you've got to choose them carefully. You know what I mean? And you're going to have that friend that you love, but that's still in that lifestyle. But you're going to have to be like, I have to cut him out of my life, but I love him so much. I love her so much. You know what I mean? And that'll be the hardest thing that you have to do.
You can love people from a distance.
Yep.
That's what I did that with him for like a couple years, because it was just the point in time where I couldn't psychologically like deal with that. It was like that damaging to me to think that, someone, because honestly in med school, this kept me up at night. In college even, it's like, there's someone that I have like pretty much identical DNA. Like people thought we were twins when we were younger. Obviously there's just a little bit of hair differential, I think, at this point. But who had the same environment, same family, mostly the same friends, like same food, like everything was the same. And yet we were so, like, at this time I thought different in that, I kind of ran towards things and he seemed to run from things, but I was just running in a different way.
It's a good way to word it.
Yeah.
I thought about that way.
Yeah, right. So it was very troubling to me as a youth because I love my brother and I would do anything for him, and to see someone going through that level of torment and like not really knowing what to do, just had to like kind of step away, and not really proud of that. I would like to have been like more supportive, and I think this is one of the things they talk about when dealing with people with addiction is like, if they're not ready, if they don't want help, then there's nothing that you can do, and that was hard to accept for me because I always wanted to do something, right? Did you want help?
Me, no. Well, for one, the denial's real. The denial is so, it's present, it's there, and it'll always be there, unless you actually say, hey man, I didn't even come to this point till latter years. Like not that too many at all ago. And that's I've still got a long story. We still got 10 more years to go. You know what I mean? So we're trying to take it slow right now, but denial is a huge factor. You know what I mean? Because when I was in my early 20s, 19, 20, 21, 22, that's when like I was partying and hey, everybody knew I partied and did drugs, lightly. You know what I mean? But I was still cool and still a fun guy to hang out with. You know what I mean? But it always graduates, you know what I mean? And it will graduate, I promise you. If you play with it long enough, you're going to take it up a level. And then you're going to take it up another level. And then that so fun guy to hang out with, he ain't so fun no more. You know what I mean? He ain't so fun no more. Now you start to realize the little small characteristics that they're doing is slowly turning into a joke.
Ordering 3 beers at a time.
Easily.
I've seen it. Man, I ordered 3 Bud Lights at once, and they'll let you be like, what? Like, yeah. And then just like, whoa. I was like, dude, how you do that, man? It's crazy.
Bud Light.
I've had 10. You get to drive? I've had 10.
Who's the least drunk?
All right. Yeah, terrible.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, tough times, but and I think this is where, yeah. So it was just difficult to go out with them and really hang out with them, but you were making a bunch of money though.
Yeah, at that time.
You were loaded. Plumbers make more than doctors.
Plum game, bro.
And I think that's what opened the door to like having access to like a lot of heroin.
A lot of heroin.
And
a lot of alcohol.
You said at some point in time you had like 15 grand in the bank, making like $1,000 a day or something stupid.
Yeah, well, my dad was kind of at that point he was ready to, he's like ready to slow it down. He's like, I'm ready to give you half the business, and I had no overhead, had 2 trucks paid off, and then practically no rent. So I had nothing for my money to go to, and I like to party and drink and go to bars, so that's what my money poured into. And then at that point I was just, mainly drinking and doing some pills. So, I still had plenty of money until, heroin, inevitably came into play. And that's when shit hit the fan. Yep. That's when, my dad and my mom found all the fuel oil and stuff in my truck. They searched it because I was acting funny, you know what I mean? It's obvious once you start doing it hardcore, people will start to notice. I know you think that you're Mr. Suave, Mr. You go unnoticed. And me, I bring up a lot of attention to myself anyway because that's just the way I am. You know what I mean? I carry, charisma, you feel me? And when they realize that charisma is fading hard, I'm not hanging out with my friends, I'm not talking to my parents the way I should, I'm not talking to my brothers the way I should.
Isolation.
Yeah, pretty much. And there were several times that, I had people call me like, dude, you crying. They would call me crying. They were like, we miss you, but they're only 5 minutes away. Call me crying, but you're 5 minutes away. And that's how bad I isolate myself. And that's what it will come to, because trust me, it will become your God, it will consume you, and it will be all you think about. I promise you, I've been there and done it. And I know, how many people I've known addicted to heroin, addicted to meth, you know what I mean? Coke. It's, it all leads in it's the path of destruction, and everyone knows it, but you're having so much fun getting high, you don't care to realize it, you know what I mean? And I ain't dogging you for it, or if you are on drugs or not. I was there for, how long? 15 years, you know what I mean?
Time.
And, you know what I mean? That's why I'm here. So I'm here to help you out because I've been there.
I think it really highlights the the power of addiction, and the best way I've heard it defined is it's a narrowing of the things that bring you joy, and I think it was pretty much narrowed to nothing besides heroin would bring you joy.
That's when I just quit. I just quit drinking and doing pills altogether.
That includes like friends and family too. So I was like, I want my brother, go to the gym, go play some basketball. Wasn't about to happen. Wasn't about to happen.
And I love basketball.
It breaks your heart. Or like on the other side of things, like, there's something wrong with me. Like, what the hell? We're not cool anymore. And everyone kind of feels that vibe, but I don't even know if you even really feel that vibe going through that, because you're so worried about one thing, you don't even think about the other things. But
it's that numbing feeling. I don't know if I'd said it in the last episode, but that carefree, numbing feeling is one that, oh my God, I love that feeling. Because, I just like to be carefree me, you know what I mean? But it brings you to a different carefree level, as if, you exclude all of your loved ones. Like, it's nuts. It changes the way you think. It changes who you are. It changes every fiber in your being. Like, and I don't care if it's prescription pills too. They do. Heroin's just same thing. It's all opiates. It's just 100 times stronger than your hydrocodone or your Roxy. You know what I mean? It's all the same, and it will affect you the same, because you'll graduate. I promise you. And I graduated with honors in opiates. Okay, so I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I had honors in science. Man, I had something to say there. Yeah. So my brother Joel, cool guy. Like, when sober, super cool. Whenever these things started coming into play, these like the narcissistic tendencies like just went out of control, and like the manipulation and stuff like that. Because it got to some point in time where I think we started running out. Started blowing through all that cash, and had to start making extra money on the side, or doing whatever you got to do to get that next fix. And
stealing comes into play. Pawn shops become your friend, but not.
It's a stepwise process into the abyss, and I think we're all kind of guilty of that. You know, even myself is that, you know, I've been through like several depressions, especially like in college and med school, and you don't just like wake up that way. It's like a subtle like 0.5%, 2% a day for like 20, 30 days, you know, and next thing you know, you're like, you know, ignoring everything about yourself, like not taking care of anything, eating crappy food, sleeping in but still feeling tired, your body feels like lead, and you don't really like care too much.
The level that it brings you of not caring. I want to stress this, you know what I mean? I want to go further on this. Me and my father, I mean, he's God, he's one of my heroes. One of my my heroes are the people in my family. Like, those are my heroes. And I love my dad. Oh my God, I give my life for him. You know what I mean? That's how much I love him. And this was when I was like 24-ish, 25-ish, and I just started getting into heroin, you know, pretty hard. And I went to Walmart and I wanted to go shoot. I had my 12 gauge with me, and I was like, oh, I want to go shoot, but I didn't have any money. So I went to Walmart, okay, and I was like, And I started looking at the bullets. I was like, why should I even have to pay for this? You know what I mean? And, you know, I start putting them in my hoodie. It was really, really embarrassing, okay? So I almost, like, forget they're there. And I, like, go to get a drink at the water fountain. And I bend over, and they plop out, okay? And then who's right there, with my luck, is a police officer, okay? So he's like, oh, come on, dude. He's like, you're going to jail. He's like, it's bullets, dude. You're going to jail. I was like, okay. And I'm high at this point, okay? And I'm kind of really scared because he's taking me to jail, and I'm worried about withdrawing. So my dad bails me out. And me and my dad knows I'm on drugs. It's getting real rocky, you know what I mean? He's like getting sad, you know what I mean? And I've never seen my father cry until we were what, 6, 7 years old when Cohen got hit by a car.
I didn't see him cry then.
You did.
I didn't see him cry. I mean, I was.
It took my brother dying to see my father cry. You know what I mean?
So you think we don't talk about stuff? I mean, imagine growing up in like on an Indian reservation in like the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, straight up.
I don't think that he did that.
No. But he comes, he picks me up, and my truck's still at Walmart. You know what I mean? And I got my key and stuff. And he's not saying much. You know what I mean? I can tell he's so melancholy at this point. It's seeping into me. I can feel the spirit. You hear me? And I'm like, God. It's like, and that's when it hits it, because I'm sober at this point. I'm kind of withdrawing, and if you've ever been on, you know, opiates, your feelings are so heightened when you're withdrawing. It's like you'll bust into tears for no reason, and you'll come to. You come to who you are, and it's really scary, because all you can think about is trying to get drugs to come off of that feeling. And like I said, I like to be carefree, and I like to be numb in that way. And my dad drops me off. And I used to work with my father a lot when I was young. When I was 12, I was like really kind of the only one that went with him. And he drops me off, and he gets next to me in his truck. He pulls up next to mine, and I was like, you know, obviously didn't have any money. I was like, Dad, can you toss me a little money? And knowing I'm gonna get drugs with it, my dad loves me so much. He's just like, damn, you know, here. And then he pulls off, and he backs back up, and he's like, and he starts tearing up. I'm like, oh my God, my father's tearing up. At this point, I'm like, you know, I'm looking this way, and I'm crying. I'm just like, I'm like, no, and the tears are flowing. I'm just like, trying to breathe, and he goes, you know that kid when I was 12 years old that rode beside me every day at work, that was with me? We used to go to gas stations. I used to get your fat ass food all day. He goes, I just want that kid back. He's like, that's all I want, is I want that kid back. Never cried so hard in my life. And, you know, the power of opiates and addiction is, even after all that, 30 minutes later, I went to pick up. You know what I mean? So it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard stuff. So.
After feeling like the worst thing in your life, to turn around and go get it right after that, you know.
I still remember that conversation like it was yesterday. Shoot, I'll still think about it and drop a tear. You hear me?
Emotional trauma. I'm about to cry, bro. To be honest,
God,
I don't even really do that either. So.
It's hard.
Yeah, it was tough things, you know, tough things, and being a younger brother, like he's 2 years older than me exactly. Like he was a senior, I was a junior. Like I grew up pretty much in his shadow, just like watching everything he did. So I mean, there was no one that knows Joel from a pure observatory standpoint than me. Like I was watching this man, like every step he took, he just, you know, didn't really know it. I was kind of a wallflower anyway. I was like the 5th of 8 children, really couldn't get a word in anyway. So watching the stepwise decline, or watching somebody step into kind of this addiction process was something that was it was like damaging to me. It was horrifying to think that human beings are capable of something like that, and then knowing that I was capable of something like that. That's why I was so like against drinking, drugs, alcohol, even like marijuana. I would like refuse that, everything. I was like, I can't even. I was scared to take too many energy drinks, for crying out loud. So I guess from my standpoint, it was a lesson learned that you must never go there. That is the elephant graveyard. Don't ever go there. But that being said, like, how do you get someone back from there? And knowing that they're gonna try to abuse you or use you, or because whenever it started getting worse, he would start calling me, having him pick him up off the streets, or take him places, or do things, or call me asking me for money. And knowing what I knew, I couldn't. First of all, I was broke anyway, couldn't really offer anything, and I was super busy doing what I was doing. I felt super uncomfortable doing that, and I had severe guilt and shame about it, because I was supposed to be like the doctor in the family, or at least in the med school part, and like I felt totally powerless, just completely inept at trying to help my own family, and that is a horrible feeling. And I carry the weight of the world on my shoulders anyway, so I just felt that right here, and this pulled me into several depressions, probably on its own, or my inability to cope with it, because I didn't talk to anybody about this stuff either. Like, none of my friends knew in college, none of my friends knew in med school either. They just thought that I just...
They probably knew, just left it unsaid.
Yeah, well, I mean, they knew something was going on, just because, you could just tell by looking at me that I wasn't right.
Want to study? Want to study?
No one's like this all the time, with the freaking traps up to their ears and freaking tweaking out in the gym like that. Nobody works out like I work out. That isn't like hiding from something or running from something, and that's facts. I would push myself to the point of, like, I would work out so hard that I wouldn't leave until I got injured, and I would do that essentially every day.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. Had cool side effects for a little while, but really it was just
cool side effects for.
The stress was so bad. So like I had like nightmares, night terrors. I would wake up in the middle of the night like covered in sweat. Like I'm talking, like my hair would be wet.
Dude, I'm no square, but man, pre-workout is the business. Okay, so take it as prescribed.
It wasn't even the pre-workout.
And what I'm saying, this is Joel the Junkie talking here. I just took some pre-workout the other day, and let me tell you right now, it's out of it'll get you going, dude.
Well, it's sympathetic overdrive. It's fight or flight till you can't stop. I'm already a fight or flight guy. Don't really need that kind of thing. But even without it, I would still have these kind of night terrors and crazy anxiety and not really sleep and just all or nothing thinking. It was horrible. And I didn't really blend well with like public speaking or doctoring for that matter, because you don't listen whenever you're like that. So I spent most of my life in a position of not listening. I was not receptive to pretty much anything besides how I felt about it. So I was a little bit of a bully. That's probably why I was so judgmental, and I was kind of like my way or the highway kind of thing with everybody. So it didn't. It impacted me in different ways, I would say. But at the end of the day, it was still debilitating to who I was as a person, because I just I wasn't able to accept that maybe I had problems too. And
different problems in different professions, and it can make itself present and prevalent in anywhere, any time of life, any person. I promise you. But that's why we're here, dude. That's why we're here. We become aware of these problems. You know what I mean? And that's why we're here, and take our hand, two different walks of life, two completely different walks of life going on here. And, grab our hand, whichever one you are, you feel me? And I'll guide you to the light.
When you're not strong.
So,
I'll be your friend.
All right, we're gonna close up because we're breaching on 30 minutes, and we got to get to the gym, and we're on 23, 24ish right now. Yeah. 23,
Yeah.
24-ish.
So we're like intro to. We're leaving college at this point in time.
And I'm gonna go further down.
Yeah. And I'll
and then
highlight.
up.
Yeah. I'll highlight the end of my college experience, tapering into med school. Briefly touched on that. So that was, I think, both of our kind of relative ascents and descents.
It's about to get fun in the next episode.
Yeah, it's about to get crazy, y'all. Med school and IV heroin. Let's go.
Let's go.
Catch y'all next week.